We're looking here at zonal kick-out analysis. In terms of a value to time ratio, I would consider this undoubtedly to be the most important piece of analysis you can take, because as you'll see when you look at this table later on, the results are absolutely incredibly telling in terms of patterns of kickouts and what are successful and what are not successful. And really, just by implementing strategies based on those figures, you really can radically increase your score ratio and decrease your score concession based on kickouts. How it works is quite straightforward. You'll see over here, every kickout falls into one of 6 brackets. To the full back line, inside or outside a certain time zone of the ball going wide, the same to the half back line and the same to the midfield. Now I've set this at 9.5 seconds, 11.5 and 12 seconds because they're the times that we at 3A Pro Stats have found to be the most significant. If you wanted to change those figures, you could go in here, you could change that to 8 for example, but I won't. I'm going to leave it at 9.5 and that's the time you're dealing with. There's the hurling ones there up above. Important to note that if you do ever change these, really you shouldn't do it mid-season because your statistics, your overall averages will be based on whatever single time is set here. Now, so how does it work? We'll have a look at Dublin's first kick out here and I'm going to delete it so we can do it from scratch. Now, the value of this is, if a game was 70 minutes long, you'd probably get this done in somewhere between 25 and 35 minutes, depending on how used you are to the program. So, we look here, there's been quite a delay already. So, what do we do? In terms of the video, we're going to press start timer. That is going to register the kick out from this point. Now, if there was any delay, we could just press start timer again, and the most recent one is what's going to record. So, that's a kick out to Dublin to the half back line and they've won it. So we simply go over here, half back line plus 11.5, 1. Now, whether you use this field here or this field up here on the screen, it's waiting for us to tell it what happened. So there's no need to watch this in real time. We can speed it up to double time easily and we'll see what happens. So Dublin are on the attack and you're going to see a key element to this piece of statistical analysis now. Because we don't just count who won the first play, we count who won the second, because invariably, especially in these full back and half back sections after a certain amount of times, you tend to find that the team who play the kick out concede more scores on the counter than they do on the initial kick out. So we're going to play this forward. We haven't recorded, we could record no score for Dublin, but we don't because we're not finished yet. We have to wait and see what comes of Mayo's attack. Ball played in and it's actually a Mayo point. So the net effect of that was we right click here. Dublin actually, despite winning that kick out, they conceded a point in here and you'll see that goes into our chart over here. Dublin, first minute they won the kick out, but the net effect was that they conceded a point, and again you'll see that has gone in over here. This game is actually finished, half back plus conceded 1 point. So that's how it works. Now, there are a couple of grey areas which really bring the efficiency of this to its maximum. When I say grey areas, there could potentially be grey areas. We have them cleared up for you here. You're going to see some people who take statistical analysis like this, they have very black and white accounts of what's the full back line, the half back line, the midfield. What we have here, you'll see here, this is the parameter within which we work. And again, this changes from field to field depending on the size. Basically, from an arch line here, from where the 14 meets the sideline to just inside, halfway inside the D, anything inside that is the full back line. Anything outside this brown zone here, which is 5 yards past the point where the D would meet the sideline, to an arch line 5 yards past the 45, anything outside in this brown zone is a long kick out. However, the 3 shades of orange here you'll see are situational. Depending on where the players are, this kick out, a kick out received here could be full back or half back. A kick out received here could be midfield or half back, and in here is always half back. So with that, let's take a look and see what we categorise certain kickouts as. So we're going to start here with a Mayo kick out in the 19th minute, and this one is fairly clear cut, just to show a fairly obvious one from the start. Let's speed it up a little bit. Now, there we are. We can just slow that down a little bit. And that kick out has clearly dropped into the brown zone. So that's going to be a long kick out no matter what the situation of the players is. And then like that, you mark it as won by Dublin. Next one we're going to look at is more situational. It goes into the midfield, 21st minute. We'll speed it up a little bit again. And you'll see now. So the kick out comes, and you'll see here, it drops into this zone here, which a lot of kick outs do. You could be confused, are we calling that midfield or half back line? Again, let's look at the situation. There's 3 to full back line, centre back, half back. You've taken out 2 of the half back line, and that's what we consider the key point. If you've taken out 2 of a certain line of the field, it's considered as having passed there. So we're in that zone, which could be half back, could be midfield, but because it's cleared the half back line, we're calling it a kick out to the midfield, which once again we'd be analysing. Let's say we hadn't got that done already, we would analyse that as Mayo midfield, more than 12 seconds, they lost it. You'd click there and you'd move on from there. Next one here could potentially be quite confusing. It's Dublin in the 3rd minute, and we'll see now. Philly McMahon receives this one. Now if you look at the position where he receives it, again, is it the half back line, is it the full back line? If we look again at their situation here, we go back here, we're in this area here, an in between area. Let's look. If we just go back, we'll slow it right down, we'll see again, it does take out 2 of the Mayo full forward line. They haven't particularly tried to avoid it, but that's neither here nor there. In terms of the scientific accuracy, that kick out has gone into that halfway area. It's taken out 2 of the full forward line. So despite the fact that it does look like a kick out to the full back line, it's considered to be the half back line. And again, as you see, by the time Philly McMahon carries the ball a couple of yards, he's heading into the midfield area already. Next one to look at, also situational, is a Mayo kick out to the half back line in the 19th minute. Again, you may consider this to be in the full back line, but again, we'll look at the situation as before. It's actually technically quite a difficult kick out. Might look easy in Croke Park on TV, but your average club keeper wouldn't fancy that kick out. Now again, we look here and we say, again, it's landed in this orange zone. So we come back, we look and we say, has it taken out 2 of the full forward line? It has. It's gone over this head and it's gone over this head. Now the fact that the Mayo man's passage is blocked here is neither here nor there. The initial kick out had taken out these 2 players, so that's a kick out to the half back line. Now 2 further points worth noting, and we're going to look at a couple of points here, both Dublin points, and we look at the 68th minute, and here's a kick out to the half back line, and Mayo concede a point in this. Now there are 2 ways which you can be considered to have conceded a point in zonal defence, or in zonal kick out analysis. So if you win the kick out cleanly, obviously we're looking at what happened on the next move. But if you lose it cleanly, watch here, it's a kick out to the half back line. Mayo lost it directly. Quite fortunate hit there, McConnelly on the back, but he made the most of it when he got it. So as you see, that was the 68th minute. It was lost, and you'll see the net effect was Mayo conceded a point. And again, just to reiterate, like the first one we showed, we're going to look at Mayo in the 51st minute again here. So this is one to the full back line, and they actually end up, we're going to speed this up again. You'll see here, they've won the initial kick out. Again, RTE are disaster the RT videos are disastrous for doing this analysis because they tend to be showing active replays. But there you go, that was the full back line. So again, we'll see Mayo have won that. In fact, we might just delete this so we can show it in real time. So we'll go back actually, we'll say again, we're going to start our timer. We don't actually get to see the actual kick out. We'll say start timer here. It's a bit okay, and then straight away that's to the, what did we say, sorry, full back line or half back line? Full back line, more than 5 seconds, they've won it. So now we're seeing what happens. As the video runs, you'll see Mayo attack, but the ball does end up being turned over, so we're not ready to account for anything yet. Now the ball is turned over, textbook scenario, delayed kick out, turnover, what's going to happen? Before Mayo get possession back again, Dublin have scored. So we go into that kick out again. We could find it here, but it's generally easier to get it to the screen. Right click, and they conceded a point. One final important piece of information on this: it's considered as a passage of play until a possession changes or it goes out over the end line. If it went out over the sideline, for example, it would still be considered the same passage of play. Now, when you look at that, obviously here you're left with your timeline, and again you can get your videos the same as any other piece of analysis. But crucially over here you'll see your overall results, and again, while these aren't outrageously exaggerated figures, they do broadly go with patterns that we find at ProStats. So you'll see here Dublin a total of 22 kickouts. Now your RTE analysis or your textbook media analysis will say Dublin won 18 kickouts and lost 4. Was that figure important? Not really. Overall 9% success ratio on kickouts. Interestingly, Mayo the same. But let's look at how that's broken down. Typically, as we find the ProStats, quick kick out to the full back line. Dublin had 3, scored 1, conceded none. To the full back line, and again this is typical around the neutral figure, 9 delayed kick outs to the full back line, no scores gained, none conceded. Again we move down here, textbook half back, slow kick outs to half back line, they've conceded more than they've scored. Again it's a textbook figure. Midfield, quick kick out to the midfield inside 12 seconds, voila, goal. Again, completely in keeping with our analysis. And midfield, long, after 12 seconds, really can go any way depending on how many you're winning or losing. As you see there, they haven't scored any, they conceded 6 points. And again, you'll see the same here on the far side. Mayo, a 33% ratio on quick ones to the full back line. You go down here to the half back line, delayed, they've got a minus 25% ratio. Same again, midfield, they got 1 off quickly, they got a point from it, and 5 delayed to the midfield, and they were neutral. Those figures really do tie in, broadly speaking, with what we see. You will occasionally see outrageously exaggerated ones. The semi-final with Dublin and Kerry that year, for example, by the end of the game, Kerry breaking the mould on their delayed kickouts, both full back line and half back line. They had played 10 and they'd scored 5 points to nil often. They had a 50% ratio of scores. On their long kickouts to midfield, they won 6, lost 12, scored 0 and conceded 6 points. On the day, their expected value, the differentiation between going short to the half back line and going long to the midfield, was an expected value of 8.8 points per 10 kickouts. Yet on various occasions where they could have gone short with a very, very slightly risky kick out, they didn't, they went long, and that's really where you get the significance of these figures. You'd look at this after a few games, you'd start to see patterns, and for example, for every team I've ever analysed with more than 3 games, you'll almost certainly see kick-outs at the half-back line that aren't hit inside 11.5 seconds, almost guaranteed average loser, in which case just go long. And that's the kind of information you can find out when you use the zonal kick-out analysis.